Greetings and salutations, I am Jeremy Tank, and if you are watching this, friend, I am your brand guy. What does that mean? That means you've got somebody here to talk about brand and branding and all the stuff that you're supposed to do these days to, get out there and be you and build a business and marketing and all that crud. Well, I'm the guy that's in your corner that understands this, understands brand speak. How's that? Understands, just the idea of building a brand, about utilizing marketing and PR and sales and all of the stack of stuff to get what people identify as your brand out into the world. And a lot of what I keep talking about, if you've been with me a little bit, Pat, I see you out there, Patrick and Teresa, and Patrick just had a birthday. Happy birthday, dude! Just a lot of what I'm talking about lately is the law of attraction, a little bit of quantum field theory, quantum reality, and a lot about neuroscience, biology, and some of you out there I know are asking, what the hell? Right? Because here I am, and I have a background in design. I've got 20 years of experience in graphic design. I have a master's in design, and I know some people have written me and said, who are you to be talking about quantum BS? Who are you to be talking to me about neuroscience? And I will just tell you, I'm a guy who's really curious. And that's what makes me super powerful. In fact, curiosity is my number one superpower. And it's the reason I'm so good at helping my clients, because I want to engage and understand. I want to comprehend what's going on behind the scenes. What's the vision that's driving everything? What's the passion, right? Where does the passion come in? Because passion drives where you're going. And that sort of gets me to what I'm going to talk about today, which is reality and the interpretation of reality. Because the reality of it is that we're moving away from a society structure where the government really takes care of an individual, where you as an individual, whatever you're doing in your business, whether you're working for somebody else or working for yourself, we're moving away from a reality where you can be just a number, where you can hide. Right, I sort of think of this more of like my parents' time, unfortunately, where they could be a corporate drone for 20 or 30 or 40 years. That's my grandparents' time, when they could retire from the post office and be taken care of. That doesn't really exist in our time. And part of the reason for that is that our reality is empowered by this thing called technology. And technology is creating an advantageous flow for all of us to research and know damn near anything. And the truth of the matter is that 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, that's just not the case. Like, that sort of information was limited, and you would have to go to dozens of people to get the kind of information, even just a piece of the information that you today have access to via the internet. We can actually jump online. I was watching a commercial for CarMax. They're like, jump online, buy a car, sell a car, have it delivered to your house, no COVID restrictions. I'm not advertising them, but I'm saying, holy crap, because I remember when states, not even that long ago, were fighting Tesla, saying that you couldn't buy a car online, and now here's an entire dealership model, entire franchised dealership model working this way. Now, as a business consultant, as a strategist looking at business design, that's interesting to me. Getting back to you and me, though, we've come to a point, and I think that Airbnb is facilitating this. Uber and Lyft are facilitating this. Certainly all of the food delivery services who are, let's admit it, guys, during COVID, these people have become superheroes, right? Certainly when that very peak pandemic hit, anybody that was willing to bring you food or groceries suddenly became your best friend. Particularly if you couldn't get out of the house, particularly if you were, frankly, just scared of leaving the house. Anybody that brings you things it can be your best friend. And instantly, if it's somebody that is on that cycle over and over again, you get to know them. You get to know their personal brand. And there are certain people who have really maximized this. And I read articles about them where they develop texting personalities with their food delivery people, jokes that persist, or just like things that really drive home the personality of the person to create a relationship between them and the customer, whoever they're dropping stuff off for. And that, friends, that is a brand. They are utilizing everything that they are doing to make money, to create a feeling, a warm feeling in the heart of all of their customers. And that's a brand. And when we think of brand, that's not even the reputation that they're engendering. However, if they get good reviews, if they get good tips, if other people recommend, get this driver if possible, get this guy always delivers fast and on time, and the food is hot and it's ready to go. Honestly, I think these guys are superheroes these days, and we need more people like that. And the thing is, we're getting more people like that because corporations, and see, this wasn't true when I moved to Washington in 2013. When I lived in Arizona, corporations were still primarily hiring people, or it was less. Let me reframe that a little bit. When I worked for companies, they would interview, they would hire, or they would hire temps, right? I came up here to Washington, and in the Seattle environment, it's exceptionally different. In the Seattle environment, nearly everybody is a contractor. Nearly everybody is a bit worker. Nearly everybody has to not just do the work for whomever their employer is, but they also have these stipulations like Microsoft, you have to work for a certain period of time, and then you have a furlough where you get set aside until things are reset. That's how I understand it. And really what that means is that if your project continues with whomever is paying you, it's your brand, your results, your personality, your helpfulness, your organization, all of the things that you value and bring to the task that create your opportunity, your potential, right? We're talking about, when we're talking about energy, there's potential energy and kinetic energy. When you are in there and doing the work and making good friends and making all the connections, you are putting your kinetic energy to work to build this brand. And what happens is your potential for the future expands if they hire you, if they bring you back, if you utilize that kinetic potential to get reviews, to get notes, to get testimonials. And the thing is, we don't generally do that as consultants, as bit workers, as, again, I'm speaking from the design community, where if somebody wants a logo and they hire me for a logo, it used to be that I would actually go in and work in-house with the team, learn what they need to get, function something out, build them the hours that are involved. I came up here and they're like, okay, well, we'll pay you $100 to get a logo done. And that's just a joke because they didn't understand my view, my brand. All they saw was the eventual output. So my reality, my interpretation of reality was exceptionally different when I got up here because the value that is presented via my work was non-existent, frankly. And that's been a struggle for me personally. But I understand that more and more people, because the internet is sort of flattening the curve of information, the internet is making it so the individuals have to define themselves more and the value that they bring to the world more, because frankly, people are interpreting it wrong. And what happens when people are interpreting who you are wrong? Well, you have two choices. You can become the victim of that and complain, and frankly, start doubting yourself you can start looking into the future and creating anxiety in yourself. How am I going to do this right? What am I forgetting? What's being dropped? What is not there? But I've talked about this before. When we look at the negatives into the future like that, we're actually programming ourselves more towards the negative, more towards actually a particle nature focused on the negative, which slows down metabolism, which slows down neural processing, which slows down all the things that optimize us. Now, that's a really negative interpretation of reality. Now, what if we reverse that and realize that we hold the power, okay? As the internet, Facebook, LinkedIn's a powerful one these days, I love. When we utilize these tools to express who we are, how we operate, the value we bring into the world, it's more likely that people will see these sources and hold to them and express an interest in us via our value. Now, if you're like an Uber or Lyft driver, you're not going to go to those sources. You're looking pretty much on Uber or Lyft, and you're hoping for testimonials. You're hoping for people to vouch that you and your brand and what you are bringing through your car, through your service, through all of that is worthwhile. Now, I'm not talking about if you are Uber or Lyft, right? Because these guys, most of the corporations right now are operating at a high level, but I'm talking to the people who are the independents, right? You're a consultant, which means that you are coming in with a process that defines, that is brought in to solve a certain problem, to examine a set of circumstances. You're coming with the process saying, you question, you explore, you make sure that your process is right for that, and then you run your process to solve the problem, and then you hand it back to the company. Your brand is exceptionally important. Making the companies understand what you're bringing through your consultation is exceptionally important. That value is important. And if you're not portraying that correctly, then corporations interpret it how they choose to interpret it. I'll get more to that in a moment. If you are a coach, well, coaches are brought in to deal with executives or normal people or anybody else, and your job as a coach is to ask the right questions to determine the outcome that someone's trying to get. Make sure you are the right coach to help them reach that particular outcome. And then you provide a process, a stage, a stair step, a ladder, whatever this actually looks like. There's lots of metaphors for it, but it's pretty much the same thing. You help someone in their life in small moments of repositioning the brain, the beliefs, the actions. You help them set up a system so that internally they can transform and become more of what they want to be and less of what they are willing to let go of and move past. That's really what a coach does, in my view. You are helping someone achieve more of who they want to be, what they want to achieve in the future by facilitating, by asking questions, by challenging them just a little bit, just little bits at a time to help things move forward. But again, if you're not showing or telling the value that you present, it's very hard. And I'm seeing this a lot online. It seems to be that I'm put air quotes around this. I am a coach who helps other coaches hit 6, 7, 10 figures, build revenue, all that stuff. I'm not sure if you're actually a coach at that point or if you're just a marketer who is relabeling, rebranding yourself as a coach. Are you asking questions properly? Are you making the transformation in somebody or for somebody? If you're making it for somebody, you're a consultant. But calling yourself a coach puts you in a different realm, so you get to play a different game. And I'm seeing this a lot lately, and it's admittedly, I'm feeling frustration inside. That's what you're seeing in me, is actually frustration and anger, because when I think I'm talking to somebody who is meant to trigger my brain, is meant to trigger me thinking more deeply about myself and the things that I am doing, but instead is offering me a marketing system, an email system, it just doesn't jive with me. And that kind of got me thinking about the nature of anger and my interpretation of anger, my interpretation in general of emotions in the world around me. And it reminded me of something that the Reality Transurfing and a few other books, certainly Alan Watts, certainly Ram Dass, said that the world is a mirror, okay? And Reality Transurfing says it's actually a double mirror. And the idea here, though, is that the interpretation that someone gets of you is built from the information you've put out into the world, only a small portion, only a small bit. And it's really about how they feel about that small bits of information. And this is why it's so difficult to build an actual brand, but so easy to build a brand today, more than 60 years ago, more than 80 years ago, more than 100 years ago. When you're trying to build your business focus, it is very much on the systems you need to implement. You have a system to get people in the door. You have a system to talk to them about what you do. You have a system that describes the features and the benefits and how they are going to feel internally, not eternally, when they get done with something. And as they work through this process, hopefully you sell them something. If I was going into Sears, part of the process is I go A, through the doors of Sears, B, to the department that I want, C, look at all my options for something I'm going to buy. Let's say it's a lawnmower. And I'm just thinking of Sears. Is Sears still in business in wherever you are? Probably not. But it's true with any of these stores. Lowe's, Home Depot, any Target, whatever you want, whatever you need. The first step is you go in the door. You know something is found there. You know something is located there. So already there's a part in your mind that locks in and says, okay, well, I know a place to go for that, right? But ultimately, you're going to sit there and compare features and benefits of the individual items sitting in the aisle, and it's not about the features and benefits, because as Simon Sinek says, people buy your why, people buy why you do things, not what you do. Well, that goes for the items in these stores, and it goes for you as a person, because people are judging you, just like me going and shopping for that lawnmower. It's like me going into Target for what does Target sell? Target sells everything. A hose. Okay, I went to Target for a hose. I'm going to compare all the hoses. Well, when I'm the hose, I want people to look at me and say, okay, what are the features? Like, I know that the value they get from me, in this case as a hose, who thought of this metaphor? Me. Sorry, me. As a hose, I know the primary feature, the primary value I'm getting out of it is moving water from a spigot to wherever else. So any hose would do, right? Any hose would be considered a commodity. At that point, if everything is the exact same, then I'm going to go for the cheapest thing every single time. And this is human nature, because it is more hurtful to us to get rid of just a couple of bucks than to even know and wait for us to get even double that amount. If you promised me tomorrow you would give me $10 and I had $5 in my pocket, it would be exceptionally difficult for me to give away, to buy something with that $5 and to lose it. It hurts more to lose something that I have in my hand than waiting and not knowing, but sort of knowing that I'll get it tomorrow. This is the way the brain works. This limbic brain, this whole conditioned caveman aspect of ourselves. We don't want to give up the thing we have now for the thing even we might have. So we judge on the least amount of risk, the least amount of effort, the least amount of everything to get us the thing that we think we need. Unless we see features that make it stand out. In a hose, if it's bendable, if it shrinks down to small sizes, if it's got cool connections or a nozzle on the end, all of these things elevate its value, and instantly we go from a $10 item to a $30 or $40 item, depending on what's all packaged in it, and we justify it because it's got all of these other things. But really, it comes down to, okay, well, it stands out from everything else. It's different from everything else, so we interpret the value of it differently. Now, to bring it back, you as a coach, a consultant, a medicine provider, somebody that helps other people in some way, people that deal with other people, maybe you deal with finances a lot, maybe you deal with other managers a whole bunch, or customers a whole bunch. You to them are the hose. which means that as you try to help them, they're looking at you as just the solution. They're not looking at you as a person. They are not interpreting anything you say in terms of your life, your help, your experience helping people, moving through this process. Your customers don't really look at you like that. They just want to know, will you get the thing done? And it's not until you get other people vouching for you and reframing and really adding benefits and identifying what makes you unique and stand out and standing above that people start to go, oh, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. They seem to be a sort of expert in this field. And I just want to explain part of the reason for this is this mirror effect. When we give our best, our maximum, our effort to the world, whomever is the viewer in this relationship is only viewing your expressions from their point of experience. Now, what I mean by that is through their upbringing, through their experiences, their relationships, their communication, their trauma, different chemical behaviors, different chemical memories, different cellular memories, it's all the stuff in their body, in their brain, not even necessarily in their neocortex, not even in the prefrontal cortex. It's nothing that's that obvious, nothing that's that top of mind. It's all the deeper stuff. Their perspective of you and your expertise is really limited to their ability to perceive you in that way. For example, if they grew up in an atmosphere where the experts were and experts is a strange term. In this case, because people are so influenced before the age of 7, the experts in that point are their parents. The experts are early teachers or child protectors, extended family, things like that. And so, they may view experts as the ones who are harsh or stern or exceptionally high standards that others have to adhere to. And if you bring into this relationship, whatever that is with this person from a work point of view, that you are open and caring, compassionate, empathetic, frankly, some people who grew up in this environment of much more direct leadership of family and teachers, they aren't going to view you as an expert because their interpretation of what you are doing is far too wishy-washy to be the type of expert that they would expect. There's a conflict in their perception of your expertise and their understanding of an expectation of expertise. And what happens when a conflict like that arises is that sort of negative spiral of fear, anger, confusion. And fear and anger, confusion are the trifecta of a disassociative interpretation of reality. I expect that an expert looks like ABC. And if an expert does not look like ABC, then I feel anger because I feel deceived because they don't match. I feel fear because if this person is an expert, they aren't displaying the way that I expect them to display. And confusion because can I trust? Do they actually know something, anything, whatever it is that you are the expert in? And so your job in a business as a brand is really to communicate at their level, with their level, in order to create the structural alignment, the communication alignment, the behavioral alignment, the emotional alignment, to help them feel comfortable. And that's really, in a lot of ways, what building a brand is all about, is understanding that it's not about you, or in this case, it's not about me, it's about you. How do you receive me presenting the things that I present? And in your business, when you look outwards from you at your customers, how do they hear, perceive, how do they listen, how do they communicate? That's one of the first things that people seem to jump into when they're getting certainly an online business, and it's because everybody's got so much data on the back end about the things you like, the things you follow, the pages you've gone to, the things that you believe in because of the things you like, follow, watch, blah, 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 blah. I honestly hope that some of this back-end data tracking, I know right now Apple is changing the way that their devices do a lot of this. Facebook doesn't want that to happen because they track so much, they learn so much, they do so much, they know a lot about you. And if you've seen that documentary on Netflix that's all about social media and how that data really pushes you to, or that data, well, it can be used to push you, but it's just all about you on the back end. And so people don't actually have to align that difficult on the business end in order to get your attention because they're utilizing the data and everything about you from the data side. But I honestly hope that goes away because I feel like, all right, Beth, you just watched that. It's a scary documentary, honestly. And the truth is, it's so true. Everybody all across the board, anytime you see somebody advertising for social media ads, they're hoping to use this data for you, but I don't feel like it helps you be a better person, be a better brand, be a better business, because you aren't getting in to actually know and explore and live with your customers. And so when it comes to the interpretation part, you just keep presenting whatever the format of the marketers say is right and utilizing the marketing techniques to draw people in. And it's not until they get in that they go, okay, is this a good fit or not? Where do you think these discovery calls came from? If you do discovery calls for your business, the whole concept of them is get somebody filtered through these funnels. And the whole point of filtering through a funnel is they may not be a good customer for you. They may not understand your value. They may not understand anything about you. It is to create an interpretation of you that gets them aligned with you. That is the whole purpose. And I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with some of the ads because I don't like the way the data is used. And I feel like that's fine. I feel like that's fine with me. Because that's how this game is played. But when things change, that means that you need to showcase more of who you are. You are already sort of like the Uber driver, the Lyft driver, the independent consultant, the independent, the coach. You are your brand. You are your personal brand, and you have to bring your personality out into the world because people are going to start to interpret you. And if you are dull, if you are boring, if you don't know what to share, if you have a whole different perspective of things, it's up to the perception of your audience whether your stuff gets through or not. Does that make sense? Like you can only speak to the highest level of their perception, and if you are just if you're just doing Facebook posts. I watched a guy yesterday that was like, look, keep doing Facebook posts every day, man. You just keep doing the Facebook posts, and you keep doing the lives. And he's a West Coaster. You just keep doing it, and you pump it out there, and you do more than anybody else, and it's rad, and you get customers. And no, really, yes and no, because the Facebook algorithms will actually work against you at that point. Some of the other social network algorithms work against you at that point. And your personality starts to look really over the top at that point. And is that who you are, or is it just who you're trying to present for social media? The thing is, I feel like this is me. I feel like this is me at my high energy and my go-get-emness. And I think you guys get me to a large degree. And I can slow down and I can think a little bit more when I'm doing facilitation for people. I am much more cerebral than projecting wildly kind of fun Jeremy. But that's true with all of us. And when you're creating this idea, this concept of a brand for yourself, what you're doing is you're putting a face, a persona, a thing out into the world to help others understand who you are. And the more consistent you can be with that image, the better you're going to create this interpretation across media, across businesses, across desires. And the way to do that is just to keep doing it and being consistent in who you are. Because when people interpret what you're doing, they're going to project their own needs onto you. They're going to project their own expectations onto you. They're going to project their own emotions onto you. And that's a tricky one, because when they start projecting emotions onto you, that's not within your control. And a lot of you are smart enough. I know you know this stuff. When they project emotions onto you, that is not anger in them. It's not what they're projecting is a fear, right? A pain thing, because maybe they've sought help, maybe they've done something else, and they are interpreting the way that you speak, the way that you act, the way that you do things in a way that is triggering something within them, something fight or flight that says they aren't safe, they aren't going to be safe. And so they're actually trying to combat you, put you down, stand above, so that they feel safer in this. And I guess what I'm saying is, the reality that we are living in right now is a point where every single individual is being tasked with becoming, honing, refining your own brand. And the thought of actually like, I just work for this company and they're going to take care of me and things are going to be fine, that doesn't exist anymore. And the more we move forward with politics and corporate structure and everything else, it's more and more important that you take care of yourself, that you take care of your mental health, that you take care of your body, that you take care of your mind, and reach this point of empathy, compassion, emotional intelligence, understanding, stability within yourself, because you are perfectly capable of doing that. This is all within you. You are here and you are perfect and you are living your optimum life, and there's nothing really outside of you. Here's where we flip this, see? There's nothing really outside of you that is the thing that's causing any tension within you. Because just like your customers, as you are looking out at every brand, at every person you could work with, at anything you want to buy, you are projecting your understanding, your interpretation of the world and the way it should be into the world. And I say this again and again, the brain, one of the brain's primary functions is contrast. What is the contrast? What am I thinking it should be versus what it should be? You don't even think about things. The brain just reacts to it. I believe that the world should be blank, and when it's not, emotions well up. In fact, anger, the way that I've interpreted anger recently is strictly as a contrast response in basically demanding reality, whatever objective reality, whatever that perceived objective reality is. It's a response saying, I want it to be this other way. I should be able to control this. And I feel anger because the outside does not equal what I think it should be on the inside. And I demand that outside reality changes. Well, it's not going to change. It's never really going to change. All we can do is accept that it is what it is. And understand that when we're the customer, these feelings are going to well up, and that sometimes we have to find the alignment points of what we want, the future that we want, the people that we want to work with, the types of people, the things that we value, the things that we really, the attributes that we want in life. These are our goalposts. These are the things that we hold dear. These are the things we create systems around so that we can move forward when things pop up that anger us, because they're gonna. It's part of being human. It's part of this journey. It's part of this trip. Stuff is gonna trip us out, man. It's just the way it is. We've got to learn to adapt and flow with it. And then when we flip that and think, okay, well, now I'm the brand. Now I'm the coach. Now I'm the consultant. Understanding that people generally are going to be the same way towards us. And that's the compassionate part. You know, I am finding that we as humans, tend to quickly judge others and judge the world. And again, judgment, just another word for contrast, just another word for that tension that's caused when there's an expectation internally in some way based on the things we have known, have experienced, have done, have said, and the way that things appear to us now. And the reticular activating system can honestly say, okay, we're just going to change. We're going to adjust how we see things. We are going to create a new belief around it, and we are going to actually build in a more positive sense. Or it can say, screw that. We're just going to do things the old way because this is the way it is, and I am in control of things, and anything I can't control, well, it's going to cause some anxiety, some tension, and a lot of conflict within. And as we grow as a brand, you are your brand, you are your business, you are bringing your genius to the world. You look, you are perfect, and you have a right, a worthiness, an ability to be anything, whatever you choose to be, to do whatever you want to do, whatever brings you happiness. You can the happiness is within you, right? The happiness comes up within you, and you can express it to the world. And when the world is not exactly as you expect it, then move with it. Ask it questions, play with it, adjust it, because you have control in here. And when you are the brand looking at everybody else doing that with you, the best you can do is open a dialogue. The big, giant, global design company, IDEO, they design, when people say design, they like to think about like graphic design, websites, flyers, brochures, blah, blah, blah. Design is the process of thinking through, of asking questions, of trying to find solutions. We should be designing politics. We should be designing systems in government. We should be designing state goals. We should be designing society instead of letting it kind of flow in this short-term, weird-ass 80s and 90s backwards thing where we don't seem to actually know where we're going as a society. We should be applying the idea that we have a goal that we're moving towards, and we're taking these active steps to get there, but that changes every 4 to 8 years. So it's hard to actually plan, right? And meanwhile, everybody else is kind of looking at all of this process, all of this structure, and going, I feel awful, and blaming everybody else. And I guess what I'm saying is, look, it's all up to interpretation. The reality, there is no objective reality. There are several points of objective reality that we can agree on, and the way that we create a more objective reality is by communication, by reaching alignment between you and me, by writing things down. Contracts are the perfect form of communication. I understand our agreement one way, you understand it another way. The contract that we form and put on paper in writing says we both understand this. And that's really what interpretation is about, is finding a common ground. Because we cannot build things alone in this world. We are communal creatures. We build communities. We operate communally. We have mirror neurons that says, if this guy's feeling happy and he's a really big, important status guy, I want to be happy too, right? Absolutely. The person who is the most important status in the group, however they feel, we all look to them and say, where are they? We want to be there. We want to be with them. We want to align with that. We want to feel that way. Mirror neurons do this automatically. And it's exciting and it can feel good. And it's just aligning behind things and creating interpretation of whatever all of this is. So that's really what I wanted to share today, is just a little bit about, coming from this both sides of being a brand or trying or dealing with brands or just interpreting the world around you, understanding that empathy and compassion create this space where when people interpret things right or wrong, it's okay. And if you go into it with curiosity and with that little bit of space and an enlightenment with yourself and compassion for the environment of whatever's happening, then you give opportunity a chance. And opportunity is really that quantum wave field, right? Everything that can be is out there. But when we focus on negative, when we focus on our interpretation, when we focus on anger, when we focus on the negative things, it really collapses the quantum field into internal emotional particles, proteins, sequences in the brain that don't do us any good. And as we all honestly are going to have to start building our personal brands as we move into this whole different style of working with the world in terms of pandemic, which seems to keep going for a while now, guys. There's more variants, which means you need to build a greater brand about who you are, about the value you bring to the world, and clearer communication so that when others reach out to you, you can express to them just how amazing you are in everything you do and how you can help them create the world, create the transformation that you do. Because that's what we're all about. We're about helping and creating